Tune in every Tuesday at 9 p.m. for Nightcap Knowledge. Put the children to bed, get your adult beverage, and get ready. Nightcap Knowledge is rated black and uncensored and hosted by longtime community organizer and entertainment professionals, Mr. Mac and DJ George Chuck. Real talk, real issues, real solutions. Nightcap Knowledge on Facebook, IG, and Twitter. Tune in and share.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Nightcap Knowledge. This evening, we will be joined by Dr. Terralon. I called her Dr. T earlier when we were doing our check-in. It's like Mr. T, like Dr. T. Like I feel like it should be also a drink. We should make that up, Mac. Let's get us a Dr. T on the menu. Maybe later on in the year, maybe sometime right about, let's say, mid-October, when all of the Tougaloo alums are back on the yard because y'all set y'all ass down and stop spreading COVID, we're going to have a Dr. T. It's Nightcap Knowledge. Let's go. Right now, we are live on
Black with No Chaser. DJ. George.
Hey, yo, start the motherfucker off track.
Nightcap Knowledge. Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Central.
Shout out to Chef David Mallard. He's on Twitch right before we jump on Twitch. So if you're looking for something cool to cook in your kitchen or you need some inspiration for your kitchens, check out Chef David Mallard over on Twitch. Absolutely free to check it out. Chime in the comments. But you definitely got to be ready to open your palate. Expand your kitchen. Expand your palate. Chef David Mallard. This episode of Nightcap Knowledge is brought to you by the Mississippi Black Business Expo, the 6th annual Mississippi Black Business Expo, Saturday, August 21st, 2021, 12 to 5 p.m. at the Jackson Convention Complex. If you're not registered and you are a Black-owned business, you gotta get yourself registered right there on msblackpages.com, msblackpages.com. We got the business workshops, we got the food court, we got the family fun zone. It's the People's Marketplace, the 6th annual Mississippi Black Business Expo, Saturday, August 21st, 2021, 12 to 5 p.m., Jackson Convention Complex. Make sure you reach out and get your business registered. And if you are a shopper, bring your pocketbook and get ready to shop. Hey. Mr. Mac, unmute yourself.
I'm there, DJ George Chuck.
Hey, look, man. I see you, and I see you with your Jackson Black Business Expo shirt on. Look, representing.
Eyes ready.
Yeah, man, we ready. It is August. It is Black August. It is time for us to do what we've been doing. Well, for us, we've been doing it all year. We've been being black. We've been shopping black. We've been buying black. Look, how you feeling, man? I see you got your Jack Apple hat on, man.
Yeah,
Shout out to Larry Leggett.
The legend, Larry Leggett, Lincoln Obama.
All of that.
Got his own money and his own cutout.
Yeah, man. And a bobblehead, too.
And a bobblehead. Don't forget about the bobblehead. Yeah. Matter of fact, I think he might have been featured in and his brother. Didn't his brother used to do the cartoon, the little thing? He might have. You never know. He might be a cartoon character out there somewhere too.
No, he's definitely a cartoon character. Lavelle has definitely had his brother in the Lavelle show. So
Yeah.
our buddy Larry Leggett, he's an avid supporter of Nightcap Knowledge, and we appreciate him for all of the product and the sponsorship that they provide us with. And we encourage you to drink responsibly. If you're going to, watch this podcast and consume a beverage, we want you to do so responsibly. But we also want you to hydrate yourself. Hydrate yourself with Aspire Pure Water. Absolutely outstanding water. It's ionized, has a refreshing taste. It's got electrolytes in it. Look, I know the way that I sweat in this Mississippi heat. I'm down on the coast. Man, look, we was in Utica this weekend. And look, I'm getting into the weekend recap.
Yeah.
Slow down. Let's do the weekend recap first. Let's go ahead and do the mental health minute first. And then, but before you do the mental health minute, go ahead and give the disclaimer so that they know what they're getting into.
Okay. All right, DJ George Chuck, I appreciate that, man. So the disclaimer, remember this show is black and uncensored. Understand that. It's rated black and uncensored. Real talk, real solutions. We talk about what we can do in the black community, what we can do in our community, and how can we solve it. Understand you have two options. You're either part of the problem or part of the solution. So as Brother Hollis would say, as we talk about it, which side are you on, boy? So you got to pick a side.
Side are you on?
You either part of the problem or part of the solution.
Come on.
So I guess I got some favorites, right? So I try to keep I was real deep into it last year with the different versions of Mental Health Minute, but I've been fluctuating with a couple things. I guess I can make this one be more about our last topic for Therapeutic Thursday.
Okay.
In which we were talking about. We talked about grief, depression.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we ended with that, but then we started talking about conflict resolution, right? And then crisis intervention. So those are things that we need to look on is communication. And I tell you about toxicity and negative energy. When you don't like yourself and you don't like what's going on in your life, you're going to spread that toxicity onto somebody else. You always got to check yourself and look at your energy, because that's a reflection. If I don't like me, I'm not going to like you, especially if you look like me. Right. So we talk about that's real thing. We talk about mind, body, and soul. Whatever might be throwing off your chi, your whatever might be throwing you off, you can see that. And negativity always need energy, and it always need attention. So we want to remind folks about that. So definitely check that. Conflict resolution, social skills building, all fall on what we talk about. Work without faith. I mean, faith without work is dead. So we got to put the work in. So that's the thing I want to highlight based on our Therapeutic Thursday, the last one we had last week. Now, I'll recap for the weekend.
Well, look, Mac, I wanted to say something about you.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
I always got to respond because you give good stuff, and it made me think about something. I guess this is what our more evolved and educated folks,
right,
and our more spiritual folks mean when they get confirmation. So I had been thinking about something. Literally, I probably had been thinking about it the whole ride up to Jackson, specifically, or more specifically to Glue. I had been thinking about what I had been doing in terms of seeing the play that other folks have been running that I should have been running the entire time, and I got away from running. Meaning that, you said you're chi, you're center, you know, folks that are educated on these different types of things. They talk about your chakras being in alignment and all of that, right? Your aura, right? So I started thinking about something. I was like, man, you know what? Typically, I was always the guy that was able to find his groove, and also being able to help other folks find their groove. Your message just gave me something about, like, you always got to find your groove. No matter what's going on with you, no matter what's going on with other folks, at the end of the day, you got to do what you need to do to find your groove. And Matt, on this show, on like right now, I'm telling you that is my renewed mantra. That's my. I know I'm a person that I always say, no matter what happens to me, I'm gonna be all right. Right. I'm sticking with that. But the thing is, the way that you can operate in that manner is that you always got to find your groove.
That's it.
At the end, ain't everything that everybody else got going on, that's them. But you got to find your groove. And you could be in a big old party, wedding reception, all of that type of stuff. You could be, at the blues festival. But at the end of the day, you got to find your groove. And then that leads us into what we did this weekend and all of the things that we did this weekend from Friday all the way to Sunday. And I'm still tired, for the record.
Man, and this is from two brothers that try to do as much as possible to stay healthy. We exercise, we try to drink water as much as possible. We did a lot this weekend. So Friday, kick it off. We have to pay our homage to our elders who have learned how to channel not only from the strength of his peers and ancestors, but to pull in the energy of the youth. We did a big celebration for Brother Hollis Watkins Muhammad, civil rights veteran, member of SNCC, and we celebrated the 60th anniversary of the Freedom Ride, 61st anniversary of the SNCC being organized, but also his 80th birthday. So you got to do the math. SNCC turned 61. Brother Hollis turned 80. He got involved with SNCC at age 19.
When we was most of us, maybe in our sophomore, junior year, somewhere around it.
Yeah. And he got involved, and that's when he met his mentor, or the person that helped bring him in, which was rest in peace, Baba Moses, right? Bob Moses. And we said that term means teacher, because not only was he a teacher of culture and organizing, but he was actually a teacher, right? He learned how to use algebra to educate and create critical thinking capacity for African American at Lanier High School. And
shout out to everybody that's a alumni of the Algebra Project.
And those who participated in that passed to take the state testing. So the 50% that took his course passed. Right. So that man, you talk about how you touch folks. Touch Brother Hollis. Brother Hollis touched Mr. Frank Figgis and Miss Betty Lambright, who are also received awards for the Freedom Celebration for their fight for freedom for the African American people, who also are Tougaloo alumni. And as he was a part of training us directly and indirectly. So we celebrated that, brother, at Tougaloo with good fashion. We're gonna drop the link for so you can watch it on Mississippi Move. You can watch it on. I think One Voice has it now too. But the video where we show folks coming from the beginning to end. I talked to Mr. Frank Figgis. Him and Miss Lambright talked this morning. They were like, man, he just was so humble to receive the award and for what we done for Brother Hollis. And I'm telling you, we were burning the wick at both ends, right? We picked up another catering event that we had to do.
That's right.
We made it work to celebrate that brother as he continued to work. And we're going to work on more things. And that was just Friday. And then Friday, after we finished that celebration and got the gym, big shout out to Tougaloo College, Dr. Daniels, Dr. Walters, for being a great sponsor and making that happen. Tougaloo will welcome us with open arms. They are always ready for
and Dr. Whitney too. Dr. Whitney.
Yeah, always ready for the Eagles to return to the nest. And that's exactly what happened. We had several of them there. Big shout out to One Voice being a sponsor, and also People Advocacy Institute for being on board with us to help highlight the brother and the celebration. And man, we had a lot of folks that was there. You got to go back, and so many people, you got to go back and hear what they had to say for Friday. But Friday night when we ended, we were slanging water, packing up, and getting ready for several events that we had. We had an event at the Ag Museum. Also, we had folks helping out at the convention center that was for Saturday. Rolling all day Saturday. We were getting the word out. And also Saturday, we not only was out doing events, but we also was collecting items for back to school. That's the combination of Mississippi Move and Mississippi Greek Weekend, creating and collecting items for the assist students and parents with the resources they need to go back to school. And we were running with that, I literally went to Utica twice, running up and down the road. We were hauling everything we needed back and forth. Saturday was enough to wear us completely out. Only to get up at 8-something and be in Utica for the Blues Festival. We had a great setup. Everybody kept if they did not know the name of Jack Daniels in Mississippi Move prior to Sunday, they do now.
Hey, bud.
So we got the word out, encourage folks to get out there to vote, encourage to be part of the community. We had a good setup, and we were rolling all weekend, and got right back on it Monday with planning other stuff and recapping and what we needed to do. So big shout out to Juke Man Productions down there that did the event for the Blues Festival. We had a lot. We did a lot this weekend. And this and think about it, this is not outside our wheelhouse. We haven't done like this in a while, but typically this usually a summer weekend for us as the crew. Mississippi Weekend, Yard Boy Entertainment, all us. That's pretty much like Mississippi Greek Weekend, how it used to be. You know, you're running all weekend from Thursday through Sunday with several events. But yeah, we wanted to make sure that we got the workout. We were able to teach people, bring folks in. And my daughter participated in the celebration. She learned how to roll. And when you get there, like, hey, ain't no talking. And as the pastor would say, when it's time to work, ain't nothing but asshole and elbows. I don't want to see your mouth move. I need to see you bending over. I need to see your elbows moving. That means you're working. When we say that means you're working. That means you ain't standing around talking. You got stuff to do. And so that's pretty much the recap of our weekend. And we are still feeling it, literally, from the work, because I was dealing with some other stuff we'll talk about the whole weekend. And when people would talk about they can't wear a mask and they can't do this, I spent 14 hours in the sun taking breaks wearing a mask.
He did.
So when you can't keep a mask on for 10 minutes, you're full of shit. I'm telling you that. You ain't got to worry about nobody else saying it. I'm telling you.
Show up. I got in the truck, took a whole nap.
Yeah. He had to reset.
Had to reset, man. And here's the thing, Mac. And I know we talk a lot about beverages on here. Look, thanks to everybody in the comments. Jimmy Rich, that's one of our partners, man. Look, we appreciate you for recognizing the work that we're doing. And even look, we even got, backstage, Dr. Terralon Cannon Knight. She's in the comments right now. So look, you guys are going to be able to interact with her and learn more about, everything that she has going on very soon. But I had to take a moment and look, we out there drinking water on Gatorade, on water, on Gatorade, on water, on Gatorade. I tried to drink one beer because we setting up a bar, right? I got the neck of the beer, and I was like, you know what? I'm finna drink 14 Gatorades and 22 waters.
Right.
And I am not exaggerating, because the amount of heat that was out there, the amount of humidity and the level of the temperature, man, look, in Utica, Mississippi, at the Liddell Ranch, it was more than enough to take out somebody who drinks a lot of water and Gatorade and takes vitamins and good apple cider vinegar and I mean elderberry and all that stuff, man. Look, I say I'm finna get in this truck. I'm finna take me a nap. I'm finna drink 14 Gatorades and 22 waters.
Yeah, and Chuck was killing it. I'm talking about he was killing the waters, man. And so think about it. We talk about the dedication. Because we right back on it, get ready to do school events, back to school events. It is hot. Be careful. Know your groove to the point where you know your body, what you could stand, and what you need to do to be able to make it. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this. Me and Chuck take turn not being the good guy. It depends on what damn day it is. I don't give a shit what nobody has to say. You have to make sure that you are good. Regardless if you are wearing masks and gloves like me, if whatever you need to do, you make sure that you are good to take care of you, and damn anybody that has anything to say about it, we all fully grown. And as we continue to grow, we want to make sure that that you got to do what you need to do to take care of you. If that's taking some breaks, there's no goddamn competition. All of them can withstand different things at different times. So there's no competition now.
That's right.
You got to do what you got to do to keep you here, and be as happy and healthy as possible. So that's what always our goal. We talk about being happy and healthy, because happiness is a part of your emotional, mental, and psychological health. and what as long as it's something that is non-harmful, because you got false sense of happiness, but then you got a real true happiness. So a lot of times that's deeper, that's more spiritual than it is the saying what gives you a smile in the moment, what is the true happiness. And for us, I can say what is service. It's
Yeah.
definitely being able to help people that we've seen that's in need, and living, as the old blues singer BB King would say, the great one would say, living the life you talk about in your song. So we start talking about the song from Brother Hollis that sing about the service and
Yeah.
not giving up. You living that life, and
Look,
that's a lot.
And that is a lot, and that's a great segue to the person that we are bringing into the broadcast right now. She began her career as a primary care physician in Washington, D.C., caring for the district's medically underserved residents and the homeless population. And y'all know anything about us and Mississippi Move and the work that we do through Mississippi Move, we care about the homeless population, and we care about making sure that our community, folks that are typically forgotten about, have
Right.
access to the things that they need to have access to. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we got to make sure we bring it in right. I got to give them applause. I got to give her all of it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing to the show. Y'all give it up for Dr. Terralon. Yeah, baby. Yeah, we got another Tougaloo alum, and we are going to make sure you got to unmute your mic. Yeah, there you go. So, Dr. T, what's up?
What's up, guys? Hey, Chuck. Hey, Mr. Mac. How y'all doing?
We good. We good. How are you?
Can you hear me? I'm trying to get hyped because, it's an hour later here. I usually turn into a pumpkin after 9, but I'm so happy to be here.
Oh yeah. That we would definitely have to have you. And you're right. We got to remember those time changes. Because so we ain't gonna hold you up too long. Don't try to.
No, anything for you guys. I love the work that you guys are doing. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. So, like you said, I put the kids to bed and I'm ready to rock. So
go.
I'm Dr. Terralon, your board certified family physician, speaker, and new best-selling author of Kiss Medicine, I Kiss Clinical Medicine Goodbye. I help medical professionals find careers that allow them flexibility and freedom and financial independence. And your audience can follow me on all social media platforms at Dr. Terralon. That's DrTerralon. And you can find my book at kissmedicinegoodbye.com. That's kissmedicinegoodbye.com. You can also find it at Amazon or Barnes & Noble, but I'd rather you buy it directly from me, and I'll sign it. I'm a proud Tougaloo alum. I'm a Delta, so Chuck's my frat. So anything for you guys. So, and I'm just excited to be here to share with your audience. So, let's roll, let's rock.
All right.
So,
all right.
Look, I got a question.
Yeah.
I actually have. I got another question because you're based in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Did I DJ
Gorgeous. That's what we call it.
Did I DJ a house party at your house like some years ago? Like,
no, but probably there are a lot of Tougaloo alums, and I probably was there. There are a lot of Tougaloo alums up here.
I remember Chasman getting something together, and I think some kind of way, man, I ended up booking like a flight and getting DJ equipment and everything, and it was Upper Marlboro, Maryland, and I was like, man, look at this. The Tougaloo family done put together a whole party, and man, it was lit, lit. Super lit.
That's one of the strongest alumni chapters in that area. The Tougaloo and Potomac. They have
Mississippi Potomac event, but to the WATAC chapter. Yeah.
So man, it's like, what do all these folks come that went to Tougaloo end up in the DC area? Hey, making shit happen behind the scenes and in front of the camera.
That's what we do. And so I don't know if you guys know this, but Prince George's County has the largest per capita of African Americans. That we have let me make sure I get this right. we make the highest per capita of African Americans in the country. So it's the largest cluster of African Americans.
They used to Chocolate City.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
So we call it Gorgeous Prince George's. That's how we love it. So
Okay. Prince George's. So look, tell
Yes.
us about how you arrived at this moment where you wanted to kiss medicine goodbye.
And what does that mean? That's what I want to know. Yeah, what does that mean?
What does that mean? So I'm a board certified family physician, and I definitely don't want people to get the wrong idea about leaving medicine, because as Tougaloo graduates, we definitely pride ourselves on the number of people we send to medical school. So I definitely don't want people to think that I am encouraging people to leave medicine, because we all need primary care doctors. And we certainly, as African Americans, we need as many African American physicians. We need people that look like us to treat us. So I don't want people to get the wrong idea that I am encouraging people to leave medicine.
Right.
It is simply about making a choice that's right for you. And Chuck and I were talking a little bit before we came on about the pandemic pivot. And what's happening is medicine has changed a lot, the system of medicine. And a lot of people don't realize the people who are making the decisions at the top are not either physicians for encouraging people to leave medicine. So it is simply actually medicine is actually more of a business, and sometimes that squeezes some doctors out. And then there are also some circumstances where some physicians can't work in their practices anymore. That happened a lot during the pandemic, where people were overworked. Hospitals actually closed, and so quite a few were out of work. And there are also life circumstances. So I work with a lot of physicians who maybe had to take care of a parent, or who got in an accident and can't operate, or develop some chronic illness, can't operate anymore, or get older. Yeah. And so there are a number of circumstances that we forget. We think that we put physicians on this pedestal, and we forget they're not superhumans. They are actually humans who actually have life circumstances that happen to them. And all that we've been trained to do is work in a clinic. But then when something happens, we need to know what else can we do with these skills. Yeah. And so that actually happened to me. When we make these decisions to become doctors at 18 and 20 and we train, it's like, we don't necessarily figure in having a family, having to move, clear across the country, and, a series of other things happening to us. And so it's all about having to make a difficult decision and figuring out how to make medicine work for me. And that's all. And being happy with that decision. So that's what the book is about.
That's dope. So let's dig a little more into like where you're from, and then how you ended up at Tougaloo, and the decision to go to Tougaloo, like were your family members Tougaloo alums. Let's talk a lot more about that. So like exactly where are you from?
Awesome. So I love to just say I am a very proud Mississippian. You know what? When I get here and I have been in the DC area for about 15 years. And when people ask me where I'm from, I still say I'm from Mississippi. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a couple of places in Mississippi. When I was 6, until I was 6, I lived in Hazelhurst when my parents were together. When they separated, I spent most of my formative years in a little town called Macon, Mississippi. And everybody's like, where's that? It is... I say it's close to Alabama, but it's actually in Noxubee County, close to Starkville, north of Meridian. But I spent quite a bit of time in Rankin County on my dad's farm, close to Tougaloo. Okay. I had a math teacher who was really instrumental in sending me to Tougaloo because he was friends with Dr. McGinnis, and he had graduated. And so it was my 9th grade algebra teacher who insisted that I go to the summer science program. Shout out to SSP 93.
Hey, let's go. SSP.
Yeah, that's right. And so I did that 11th grade and then came back. And that's how I got to Tougaloo.
Yeah.
And so I did do the Tougaloo Brown program where I did the exchange with Brown University, got in and did med school with Brown and finished at Brown, trained at University of Texas at Houston because I wanted to be warm, wanted to get back south, and did residency there. And then, met some dude that dragged me back up here to the DC area, and that's how I got back up here. So
that's some dude now. Come on.
Some dude.
that's kind of over with. That's another part of my bio. Oh yeah. Let me, I'm single now. So yeah, let me just throw that out there.
Okay. All right.
So what made you choose the field of medicine to be, to go into that field, to be a doctor? Because we know Kinchlow kids, for people that don't understand Tougaloo, it's like you meet folks in freshman year that say, "Hey, I'm going to major in biology." You're like, "Oh, okay," and then you see them like first part of sophomore year, and then you don't see them again until like, "Hey, it's time to turn paperwork in and graduate." Senior year. It's like, "You still go here?" And it's like they disappear, and we call them Kinchlow kids. That's the math and science department. They disappear for like 2 years. And they might, some of them find time to pledge. Like, damn, I ain't know they still went to school here. Where they been? Because if you doing Kinchlow and pledge, you have nothing else going on. Nothing.
Is that what happens? Well, that's sort of true. I guess there's some truth to that. Well, you know what? I was from a small town, and I don't know. I always had the heart to help people. You know what? And I will also tell you there was, and I put that in my book. I firmly believe that kids can't be what they can't see. And that was certainly true in my case. I had thought about becoming a nurse, but I was from a very small town. I'm talking about one of those small towns where we didn't have a full-time doc. It's where you either get where you had to be part of the national. I now know it to be a National Health Service Corps because I actually ended up doing it. But where they had to send a doc who was paying back his or her loans. That's how you got a doc. They would come rotate in and out, every 3 years. Yeah. So it would usually be either someone foreign or someone who you knew was only going to be there 2 or 3 years because they had to find somewhere to work because they were paying back a government loan. Yeah. Well, and absolutely somebody who was not invested in being there, right? So one day, I had been complaining of some headaches, and my mother took me to the doctor, and she never took me to the doctor. And we usually went to a larger town because she just didn't trust the healthcare, and we never had a full-time doc. Yeah. So one day, this beautiful Black woman walks through the door, and I think I was just awestruck. And she had on a white coat, and until then, I had never thought about becoming a doctor. And it was because I had never seen a Black woman. I had never seen a Black woman in that position. Wow. And so that's why when you hear people say representation is important, it is absolutely important. And I always say kids can't be what they can't see. If they can't visualize it, then, and that's representation is still important. And so I didn't leave medicine altogether. That's why I was adamant that I stayed in medicine. I actually moved to an executive, physician executive position because little did I know that they needed us even more in those positions. Those are higher paying positions, and we're able to actually make decisions on whole communities. So your doctor is actually, when you go to your doctor and you tell your doctor you have this particular symptom and your doctor writes out this particular medicine. Well, your insurance company has already decided what medicines are approved according to that plan. Well, I work for the insurance company that has already made the policies. So there are policies that have decided now. Not necessarily doctors have made those decisions, right? They have agreements with the pharmaceutical companies how much they want to pay for the medicines that are approved for your plan. Again, not doctors are necessarily, they're looking at their bottom line. But if your doctor says, okay, this is not really approved for the condition that I want to treat you for, but I think you really need it, that would come to somebody like me, and because I have an MD, then I would talk, that would get escalated to me, and I would read that note, and I would say, we would have that discussion, and I have the power to say, you know what, forget this policy. Let me talk to the doctor, and we have a clinical discussion, and we talk about why you would need this medicine. And so now I have the power to approve this medicine, and and that makes me really proud, because there are a number of things where I've had to approve things, or I've gone toe to toe with people about things like sickle cell, and I've had to educate a nurse, and because they haven't walked a mile in their shoes, and I've said, well, forget the policy. Let's think about, or I've had to approve an extra day in the hospital because I've said, well, this mother can't pick this kid up because she has 6 kids. She can't get here. So, these are things that I know because I've lived in this community, or I've treated someone like that, or these are things that they don't think about. You know what I mean? Yeah. So these are, I feel, and forgive me if I get a little passionate about it, but we have to be open. And this is what I try to educate now physicians about, because clinical medicine and traditional medicine is a little bit slower, and especially African Americans, they tend to push us towards primary care, which are lower paying positions. But now these are sort of the kept, the jobs that were kept secrets, because they tend to, when I started on the team, at one point I was the only minority and the only woman. I was also paid less. I found less, but we can talk about pay and equity later. But I've learned, I've been in the game now 10 years. So that's another discussion.
I feel like, and Mac, I think you can speak to this too.
Yeah.
I feel like Tougaloo graduates have a knack for finding jobs that other people have. And I'm saying other people, I'm talking about people that look like us. Other people that look like us have no idea that these jobs exist. Because I know some of the jobs that I've had post Tougaloo, I've looked at my own title. I was like, man, how did I end up here? And I feel like, what Dr. Terralon is doing now, it is one of those jobs. And honestly, Matt, one of the jobs that are the titles that you've had most recently, I was like, man, I didn't know that existed. This work that you were doing as a council ward clerk.
Working with
I didn't know those existed.
I think the thing I learned from my old supervisor working at a psych facility, the coach, it depends on the coach. It's like a football team, right? Where's your person best fit in the strength, and what's needed to be done, and making it happen. Now, I would say what y'all won't say. White folks create bullshit ass positions all the time for their friends. And I'm just gonna say what the other folks won't say. They create a position like, what is that? And then they create it. And I can say prime example. One time I was at the facility working, and wearing both hats, and I said wearing both hats as being a shift supervisor at a psych facility and also advocating. I said, well, we have like 8 colleges in this city, and we have children that are failing reading. Why don't we set up some type of program where those who are majoring in education can come here and do so many hours and help those children that are here for emotional behavior? And a lot of them are covering up because of their lack of ability to be able to read and communicate. Well, if there's nobody, if there's no money for that, who's going to do that? Okay, I'm on the unit, as we call the facility. By like 3 to 4, maybe 5 months after that, some white lady come over And they introduced it. Hey, yeah, this is the shift supervisor. He's pretty much on the run the day shift. This is our new volunteer coordinator. And I'm looking like, really? Y'all found money to pay a white woman that has no connections.
Come on, Matt.
To be the volunteer coordinator. When I just suggested that we can reach out to the folks we know to help these children. So what I feel the sister, because see, and as well, Chuck might know a little bit, but my wife is a behavior health care coordinator for one of the insurance companies. So she has to deal with ER, and she's the person advocating, checking on the clients and making sure that the insurance is paying for it. That's what she does on behalf of the insurance because of her nature, as a former high risk case manager, she advocates, in their different meetings for what's needed. So for me, that would push me into, from working in the psych field to actually get my master's in social work, was that balance of health and social justice. Because for me as a caregiver, I have been down that road where she's talking about, where you advocating at that time when my grandmother was in the hospital, you want to send a 91-year-old woman home on discharge at 9 p.m. at night to Lexington, an hour and a half away. I said, she's not going nowhere. And it was like, I said, I don't care what y'all say. I don't care who said it. I'm not going to take her up that damn road at 9 o'clock at night. What sense does that make? A person that's already asleep, you want to get them up to check them? No, that don't make any sense. And you have to have, you got to have that advocation. And that's why I'm saying we don't have folks in certain positions, because when I started working on my DRPH, those folks are who you have to run the hospitals, right? Them the people that you want. Them the people that make the decisions. And I started researching like, it's not so much of the MDs, it's those who sit up in the CEO and different seats that run the hospital. And that's why I started to change the path of going that route because healthcare is very, 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 very important in the Black community, especially in the Mississippi area, where you close hospitals, and they always send those folks that don't understand our culture or our people to our area, and they put Band-Aids over gunshot wounds. And so I'm definitely feeling you, sister. That's why Chuck said I could speak to this, because that's what, that's why I created the EPS Institute. The EPS Institute for Health, Family, and Community Living is educating and trying to educate us and advocate for us on the health perspective. That's a detriment. Matter of fact, one of our Tougaloo alum, Dr. Bertha Mark Muhammad, cardiologist, we used to do a talk about how not to let the hospital kill you. And we know friends and personally how things have happened in the hospital that could kill you, that should not have happened. You came for one reason, and due to the lack of knowledge or neglect or whatever, especially when you look like us, don't look like you have no money and no pool, they really don't do a lot of work, and they let certain things happen that could have been preventative, but that's how you end up dying. And we know people that have died, literally.
I will tell you that it crosses, it doesn't matter, socioeconomic status doesn't matter, because it has also happened to me, and I've written articles about it too, because I walked into the hospital with my own child who has sickle cell, and there's been a delay in administering pain to a child. I've also been disrespected as well. And so they got an article written about it. And so it's sad, but there are studies that show, there are multiple studies that show how that we receive a delay in care, and it doesn't matter how educated we are, how much money we have, it happens across the board. So, which is why representation really does matter. And so I do try to advocate. And like you said, it does matter for people. Even for me, I realize that my job is, I used to think, oh, how do I make an impact in my job? So I try to, so like you said, okay, well, I don't want to take my grandmother home at 9 o'clock at night. It may not be medically necessary for her to stay at night, but medically I can come up with a reason for her to stay on paper. Yeah. You know what I mean? So where I have to get creative.
Correct.
To say that I can write up something to say that she may be at risk if she goes home. You know what I mean? So that's where I take my job seriously. I'm that doctor on the other side that says, if I talk to her physician, if she has a physician that can communicate that to me on the other side, the physician that's taking care of her in the hospital, if he or she cares enough to say, hey, she's at risk, she's a fall risk or whatever. You just need the people on taking care of them to really care. And I try to coach people to say that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like you said, I ran into so many don't give a shits to the point. And before my grandmother did transition, I had so many physicians who just pretty much was trying to just push upon me how to give up.
Yeah.
And I'm looking like, wow, there's a certain code of ethics that that everyone has that you're supposed to follow. And it's just pretty much like we're not trying to fight as much, and just like you say, for us. And sometimes it'd be folks that might even look like us, but they don't understand and think like us. And one of the major problems that we've had in certain areas is black faces on white supremacy, and that is real crucial in the black community when they start talking about the proper diagnosis and terminology and treating the person and not the diagnosis. We've seen a lot of that, especially when we talk about the Jackson area, when we are trying to help take care of so many folks. We have a lot of people come in and out with UMC here. You got new physicians popping up left and right, but some of them, and then what you said before about certain positions that you did not know, I've noticed so many times being at the hospital, it's so many top positions that we don't hold. We might be a tech, but we are not the radiologist. We don't stand in certain positions, like we don't know that we can be in that position, and it's not talked about because it's not pushed upon. When the last time you met someone that done those type of things? But I think that medical field has a lot to offer for the black community, and we need to get more folks like yourself to educate the students and those who are willing to go to school to go ahead and be in that field on how they can make a major impact in someone's life by running those tests. Just having somebody that understands and say, you know what, let me look at it this way. Let me break this down. Because explaining the information that you done ran the test on, it's a whole nother different world of conversation when you start talking about dealing with black folks, especially poor black folks in the hospital, and how you use certain terminology to explain to them what's going on, and not advocating for them when it's in their best interest. So I want to know, what can we do? How can we get this book out? And is there anything else in this book that you want to highlight that folks need to know? That's like what we're talking about now.
So the subtitle to the book is A Guide for Physicians Who Want to Pivot to a Non-Clinical Career. But I don't want people to read that and think it's just for doctors, because I had some friends read it, and it's really all about the mindset. It's really about, I talk a lot about finding your purpose. I talk about finding your passion and figuring out what's right for you. And it has some vignettes in that about my mom, about this houseplant that has been with me for like 20 years that I can't kill. Actually, is this one right here? It's been with me from, let's see, Rhode Island, Houston, and now Maryland. And I can't kill this plant. And the whole point is that plant is resilient, because I always forget about it. It's the only plant I got. I can barely take care of 3 kids, but that plant will not die. And I mean, it's healthy now, but it's because my mom has repotted it, and she doesn't live here. She lives in Mississippi.
Wow.
It looks stringy. It looks sick, but it's come back to life. It's been repotted. It's been in all kinds of different environments. But my whole point is,
that's amazing.
It's resilient, and that there are a lot of things that we can learn from that plant. I've forgotten about it. It has been in low light. If you think about it, Rhode Island is certainly different from Texas. It went from Rhode Island to Texas. It's been in I lived in a basement apartment in Rhode Island, in blizzards, and then went to Texas. I think Texas, the 2 seasons in Texas are hot and hotter.
Right.
In Houston. And I was hardly ever home when I was in residency, but that plant has taught me so much because it is resilient. And I think people just need to realize that we're resilient. We are resilient. And there's not always going to be a lot of light. So if you figure out what your purpose and your passion, just stick with it. And try to be a light even when there's not a lot of light or encouragement around you. And then the other thing is I have a vignette in there about an octopus. I don't think they're graceful animals. I don't think they're beautiful animals, but they are brilliant. They're smart. They're self-starters. They learn. The one scary thing about them is they will cut off their own arm if it becomes diseased or if it's injured, because and we need to do the same thing. If there's somebody in our life that is harming us or is negative, they will cut it off, because they can regenerate, and we can do the same thing. New growth can't happen if you just constantly have something just dead weight, a dead attachment. And so there are a couple of other things I think and so that's the whole point. It was just this learning process about me being afraid of what people would think if I wasn't the traditional doctor seeing things. But it was killing me. I couldn't see my kids. Because I will tell you, I went from Texas where I was learning I was seeing a patient. I would go in, see warm, cuddly baby, see a lady, see an old lady.
Yeah.
I had to deal with babies. And then I got to DC working in the Ward 8, which is Marion Barry's ward. He was still alive when I came up here.
Yeah.
My second patient was, here, Dr. Knight, here's a chart. And you walk in, and then I look at the chart, it was like gunshot wound, follow gunshot wound. And it's like, that was like a whole different mindset. And it's just, you have to the pressure was different. And so, and then I came to work and there was police tape around. I was like going into a war zone every day. And it was just too much. So, and I'm like, then I'm trying to start a family. So I'm like, okay, yeah, it was just a lot. So I had to make a change, and I was just worried. I was like, I spent all this time, I spent all this money, I got these loans, and so I just had to make a change. And that's what I meant. It's just like, just making a change that will fit you and not worrying about what other people will think or looking back saying, but I had this plan. Well, sometimes, plans change and it'll be fine. And then sometimes your what's in front of you is much better, and what you're meant to do is much better, and just use what you learned in the past to propel you for what you're meant to do in the future. And I'm very happy. I have more time with my kids. Today, I approved some medicines for some very sick patients today. And I took care of a sick kid at home. I was able to do both because I was able to work from home, approving these medications, talk to some docs, and I was able to take care of my sick kid today. So I'm very happy.
That's part of what Chuck always talk about, owning your labor.
Yeah.
And creating that capacity that works for you, and which, something I think we talk about, it means a lot to me and Chuck, because that's what we have done to a certain degree, is have to recreate our lifestyle so that we can be able to do what we need to do for our family, and also be in your purpose, because some things that we are dealing with now, we didn't never see coming down the road that we were supposed to be doing, but it's where we are. Who never knew that we would be doing disaster relief, and that's what we, some of the things that we add to our list, but it's about serving the community, and we're looking at trying to step that up, because what you're talking about, that means a lot. And I can say, as a caregiver, when that person on the other end shows enough compassion to understand your situation, because you're looking at your family member in need of whatever that medication is. And that actually just happened to me last week with the medication for my uncle. the insurance will only pay for the name brand, but he's out,
Mhm.
right? So, but the pharmacist was able to find a way to get the generic approved until we were able to go back to see his doctor appointment, which is this Thursday. But that means a lot because now you are helping prevent that person from going to the hospital or worse, but you're helping that family to be able to do what's already a hard job,
Yes.
in taking care of your family. Where Chuck was riding the other day with a sick child, and needing medicine and needed to be and needing care. That matters when you feel someone because you empathize with it because you understand what it's like. And,
Yeah.
and so we want to support you. We know some physicians that and the book price. What's the book price? Before I say that, let me ask that question. What's the price of the book?
So for people who want to just do the ebook on Amazon, it's $2.99. That's it. You can just go to Amazon. If you want a signed copy from me, if it's $2.99 for the ebook.
Wait, say Chuck.
This is a real book.
Wait, say Chuck.
This book got pictures. It must got pictures. Gotta have pictures.
Dr. Terralon, hold up. You mean to tell me you got a ebook for $2.99?
If that's for, because you know what, I just want people to read. But if you want the signed book, I would love if you get the signed hard copy from me.
Right,
that is $20.
Okay.
That's still, $20. All right, it's people still going. They spending more than that on hookah right now.
All right, so this is what we want to do. All right, this is what we're going to do right now.
What we gonna do, man? Come on.
So we're looking at $20, right? So I'm looking at to support our own. Now we talk this shit because we walk this shit, right?
Come on.
We got on Jackson Black Business Expo supporting black businesses. We always going to highlight Marcus Garvey about creating and supporting your own. If we be self-sustainable, we want to get 5 books that are signed.
Oh, that's so sweet of you guys.
So I want to do that, and I know one of those books. I had to give this book to my wife because at one point in time, she wanted to go to med school, but she wasn't encouraged to. So I want to make sure that we get 5 of those books, but we need somebody in the comments that can answer a question for us. And especially if you are in the Mississippi area, we'll give you a book of one of the books that we will purchase. So let's go back to a question. Chuck, pick a question that she talked about earlier on about herself and see how many people picked it up.
I've got it. Go
ahead.
I would say the question is, where is Dr. Terralon's, or where was Dr. Terralon's dad's farm? Or I'll give you here 3 questions. 3 questions. This is me, history person. I was a Kinslow / I was a hybrid, so computer science and history. I was a hybrid before there were hybrids on the market. How about that?
Yeah.
1, what county was Dr. Terralon's dad's farm in? 2, what city or small town does Dr. Terralon claim? And then where did Dr. Terralon complete her residency? That's 3 questions. You got 3 questions. Mac already took one of the books, so that's 4 books taken with 3 questions. I can come up with one more while we're getting people in the comments right now. And I can see there are folks. There's a person that is tagging people. Dr. T, do you know these folks right here? They've tagged a couple folks. You know that person? I don't know.
Where? Lenise
Gould?
No, but thank you, Lenise.
All right, look,
it's Black August, right? So we talk about Black August. That's about supporting black businesses, and that's why the Business Expo is in August. We want someone, and this is a free book. Come on now. We answer one of the questions. At least give it a shot. Nothing beat a failure but a try. So what we got? Who wants this free book?
So just to put it on the screen, just to make sure that folks know what we're talking about. We're talking about I Kissed Clinical Medicine Goodbye, a guide for physicians who want to pivot to a non-clinical career. We're speaking with Terralon Cannon Knight, MD. She is a author. She is a former medical director of a young medical informatics company. She's been a acting medical director or chief medical officer for the Virginia Community Plan. We're talking about a person that knows medicine in and out from both sides, and she has a cultural competency to make sure that she's doing what she can do now in her current position to make sure that our people get the type of care and access to care that they need. And we need somebody that wants to win a copy of her book right now. Now we don't get it tonight because we're actually over our 1 hour mark, and we try to be conscious of folks' time. Yeah, we've been talking. Look, and it's been a very enjoyable conversation. And just for the record, we got folks over on Twitch, we got folks on Black with No Chaser, and we have people on the Nightcap Knowledge page right now that are actively listening and tuned in. So for those folks, if you're there and if you can remember where Dr. Terralon's dad's farm was, what city or town that she is a native of, and she mentioned it was in Houston. I'm not gonna say exactly what school it was, but where she completed her residency, then you're gonna win a book. And then we can take the other the book that's left, and then we'll get it done. Now, if we can't do that, I have a suggestion. I think that we could find a place, and I think this would be very appropriate for at least 2 of the books. We need to get 2 of these books, and I don't know if Terralon has done this already. We need to get 2 of these books in the Coleman Library at Tougaloo College, and we can do that.
I would say Coleman Library and Kinchlow to figure out and as a maybe have a meeting, talk with Dr. Walters, but highlight a Kinchlow kid that
put it in their hand.
And let them know alternative paths. What you can do, because you tell everybody now you got to have a plan when you major in biology, or chemistry. You got to have a plan on what you're going to do with that, and you need to look at alternative.
This path, yeah.
You got to know about that, and I think more people need to know what things you can do beside the traditional stuff. You might need, and like she did, you got to get your feet wet. You got to walk that path to know what it's like as that doctor or as that resident. And working in the ER and the places like that. So when you get to different positions like this, you can empathize on both sides. You know what it's like when they come out. Burnout from the physicians and nursing staff, and that caregiver that's trying to get their child looked after in the ER. So you've been there, and you know how insurance and things and red tape can stand in the way, and healthcare. The quicker you act with a healthcare or any type of intervention for medicine, the sooner, the better you will feel. The longer you wait, the worse it gets. And I can speak from experience. So, all right. So I guess nobody don't want a book. We could think about a couple folks we know that are physicians, our friends. Some of them are in regular traditional internal medicine and psych, but we know some folks that probably will really enjoy this book. But I know we want to keep this book.
We're gonna put two. At least 2 on campus. We got it.
2. So that's 3. So we don't got 2 books left. I guess don't nobody want a book, but it don't matter. Chuck, we're gonna get with you. We're gonna work out the details to get the book. And I don't know what you're doing on August 21st for the Black Business Expo, but hey, you might need to try to figure out a way to get some information down here to pass out to people to let them know more about what you're doing. As we get ready to do another health fair. We haven't done one in a while. We do a very interactive health fair entitled "Fight the Obesity Campaign: Healing the Whole Person," and we talk about the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical. And financial. Financial is one of the biggest things that we talk about too, because talk about health insurance, critical care insurance, things that you need to keep you healthy and happy. So We get ready to do a health fair. It's going to look different, of course, because of COVID. So nobody wants a book, but we'll take them, and we need as much education as possible.
Most definitely. And look, at the end of the day, we trying to make sure that we going to where the money resides. We trying to get the money reside, y'all. So look, we appreciate everybody for tuning in and checking in tonight. Make sure that you check out Dr. Terralon on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. Find your groove. Always find your groove. Dr. Terralon has found her groove. She kissed medicine goodbye, but she's still in tune. She's found her groove. She's getting in the groove, and she's going to stay in the groove. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, you've been tuned in to Nightcap Knowledge.